if you have the time, indulge me for a moment. I say that because, in all honesty, I wasn't going to do any more videos for a little while. I wasn't going to announce it. I've done too many announcements lately, um, and I'm quite whimsical, so I can change my mind. But I want to focus more on the written word. I want to get my books done now. There's certain things I want to do for another book as well. So I have multiple books on the go. One a priority, and there's things to be doing in that sense. So every time I do videos, it sort of takes me away from that. But I just had a new idea, and I just thought I think it's worth talking about. Now, I know there's everything can be polarizing. It can be like it's like a double-edged sword, really. As soon as you say one thing, there'll be an accusation of another. So it's like really hard because most people in society, I don't want to say sheep, but most people in society they just follow each other, and then anytime someone says something opposite, they think there's an agenda, and it's like it's because they're just skeptical because they can't get out of the matrix, if you like. And I'm thinking about, like, in terms of, like, when if you have wealth in this lifetime. Now, of course, most people don't come across substantial wealth, but I think it's worth having a consideration of what you would do with it. In my personal opinion, I think what you do with it shows an awful lot about your character and who you are. That's not to say having nice things is a bad thing, but I think things in moderation. I think balance is key. Um, and I think that's just really important to consider because, like I said, I think most people would actually go a bit crazy with it. And like, I'm very pragmatic. So I take a fair view on things, and all I want, for instance, if I have wealth, it'd be really nice to have a nice house. It'd be really nice to have a really nice house, the one you just dream of, you know. Um, so like for me personally, I just want somewhere tranquil, somewhere I can just sit. Like if you go in the garden, it's just so peaceful. I haven't got like noisy neighbors anyway. You haven't got none of that shit. You just literally got, but it's your zen. I'd love to have that somewhere just like so peaceful. It's like that's what I want. So I'm not looking to be um, ridiculously wealthy at others' expense. But it'd be nice to have. It'd be nice to have nice things. Yes, I think if we just start in that avenue, because that's where everyone's going anyway, for the majority. So I don't think it's fair to expect to deny ourselves happiness. I think you can because you can go one way or another here. You can go heavily on the side of charity, and you don't even start that charity at home. And I think that's quite a dangerous place to be because then it's a case of do you not value yourself enough, or why do you think others are more deserving? So it has to start with us. We invest in ourselves, and then we can give out to other people. And I think that's just a great place to start. So I just think, in general, I haven't made any notes like anything. I'm really worried this is going to go off direction, but I'm going to do my best to not. Um, yeah. So anyway, like if I had wealth, yeah, I want a nice home. It'd be nice to have a nice car. I'm not looking for anything overly fancy. So I would live. I think in terms of like if I was wealthy, I'd live a modest wealth lifestyle. You know, it'd be nice to have that foundation, the home, and then I think from there you got the other things. Um, and now, yeah, if you're in a relationship, you want to care for, you want to provide for the other person. Of course, you want stability, but you also want them to thrive. The ability to pursue their dreams too. So, like for instance, I think money can give you many things. It can make you greedy. It can make you so it makes you very selfish, make you entitled. It can make you lazy. It can make you detached from reality. I think there's dangers with money. That's why, like for most of my life, I'd say even up to the last few years, up to that point in my life, I've always hated money. So I've always had a negative opinion of money. I never chased it. I didn't like it because I just saw what money does to people. I always saw it as if you look at Gollum typifies it perfectly the way I see money. If you look at the way he's obsessed with the ring in Lord of the Rings, it consumes his mind and that's all he focuses on. I just see people just throwing their lives at it like it's everything. And everybody's a scuppering to acquire as much as they can at any cost. Doesn't matter if you have to sell your grandmother. Doesn't matter if you have to steal off people. Doesn't matter if you have to just give up all of your like dreams, your goals, all your time. It's like anything and everything. People just like metal detectors. And it's like, oh, I don't live like that, man. I don't want to live like that. That's so sad. That's so sad. Now, the last few years, I'm having a different opinion of it because I've changed my outlook on what money can do. If money's going to do that to you, it's not worth it. But then I look at the positive things money can do, and what I'm going to say, the positive things money can do is not something. If you was attracting it in the way those people are doing it, that's not going to do it for you because you would just those people, like I say a lot, it's like the fool's gold. It's like chasing the end of a rainbow. It doesn't exist. So they just keep trying and trying. So these sort of people, even if they earn 1 million, it's not enough. They got to keep trying and trying. They just their whole life is like a freaking just trying to scoop up all the treasure. it's like, oh, what a waste of life. You're better off just living life and enjoying it, isn't it? Rather than just this. That's weird. It's like using the money machines at the arcades. You can't stop putting the money in, so you just spend your life stuck on that machine. This is how my mind processes things, and it's like, how is that a good life? That's terrible. So I start thinking about like the things money can do though if you do it in the right way. Because like I said, a lot of people just acquire meaninglessly. But I think if you like, it gives you freedom in the right way. It can give you freedom, can't it? Because if you've got wealth, for instance, now you afford yourself the opportunity of time. I think that's a beautiful thing to have in a world where most people forgo time. Again, I often think needlessly. Some people think it's for they don't think it's needlessly. They think it's justified. Like it's a necessity, and it's like you can actually have less and do less and have more in life. There's a balance to be had in every aspect, you know. But yeah, if wealth was to come, it would definitely give you the platform for freedom, and I think that's truly important because that's what I would want. Like for instance, I also want to travel a lot more than I've already done, and be nice to it, and it'd be nice to elevate that travel. You know, again, this isn't about feeling bad for having money or spending money. It's like it's nice to have nice life, and it's up to us to have that opportunity to experience it. You know, um, again, it's not lord over anyone or be pompous. But it'd be nice to go to a nice restaurant sometimes. I don't think there's a need to go somewhere expensive every time you go for food. But it'd be nice to go out. It'd be nice to have experiences, like I say. It'd be nice to go to some places that maybe in the like majority of life is unaffordable. It's just elevate experiences, isn't it? But even if I was wealthy, I would still enjoy the modest living too. So it's not about the cost of things, you know. It's about the experiences. So that's how I am. So like, it wouldn't change me. It would just give me the opportunity to maybe do the things you've always wanted to do, and I think that's a beautiful place to be. And like I said, it'd be nice to have nice things. I think the majority of people would go down that route, but I don't think to the point of extravagance. I think if you start going crazy, when does it end? Is you only have to. Again, I'm someone who's very calculating, and I just do it swiftly. It's not saying I overthink. It's just that there. It's like, okay, I buy. Like, let's say you buy a car. Oh, that's not good enough. You see people. There's some sports stars got like £8 million car collection. What is the bloody point? You can only drive one at a time. I can understand maybe having two to different purposes. Maybe one's more of a sports car. It's more enjoyable to drive, and you've got one that's maybe more of a family car. If you've got something like that, I can understand to an extent. Even then, don't really see much point. You just drive, and you can only drive one. I'm not going to just jump out of a car and start driving. Anyway, I don't want to say something, and in the future you've got an opportunity and you have two cars. But I can't see me having a massive collection. It's just a sad waste of money. But anyway, let's say someone does that, then they buy a boat. And they buy a boat, they buy a helicopter. Then they buy a helicopter, they buy a plane. When they buy a plane, then they want to go to the moon. It's like, where does it end? Where does the chase end? Just enjoy life, I think. Have experiences. That's what I want. There's another side to me that's completely different to all that. So that's why I was starting there, because I know that's where most people are. And the reason I don't really want to push it too far is because I want to have room to have a different impact in life, you know? And I just think you find a lot of people waste away in life, like their health declines or just things happen in their life. And I just think often it's because they've got no purpose. You literally give yourself nothing to wake up for in the morning, and that's a really sad way to live. Or so the money consumes them. They turn to addictions, alcohol, drugs, anything else that tempts them. It's all distraction tactics for their life, you know, to cover up the paper over the things that need healing. So, you'll find people in life, they'll judge people who have their mind intact and they know what they want, and they'll consider them boring because they're not really putting chemicals in their body, and they're not doing stupid shit to themselves, and they've got too much respect for themselves, and they're boring people to the majority. And it's like, to each their own, you know. I would much rather be fulfilled in my life. So I've always had a dream of helping people, but the more I've gone through life, boundaries have kicked in, and I recognise the majority. I admit this. I want to heal people, but I don't like most people, and that's just an awareness. The more that it's not everybody. If I come across a really nice person, I gravitate to them, and I appreciate the interaction. There's just an awful lot of greedy people out there. There's a lot of people that are angry all the time. There's a lot of people that are spiteful. There's just so many toxic traits and tendencies in the majority of people, and you only have to go on social media to witness it yourself. I know that's only a small window, like we're in the zoo, but it's a good example of society as a whole, and I think that's what's useful. People copying, mirroring each other. There's people that are just greedy. They're self-entitled. There's people that just go around leaving horrible comments everywhere because that's just the hate that spews between them within them. They've got so much anger and pent-up frustration. They spread it all over everybody else's pages. It just goes on and on and on. You only have to go through the pages to sort of look and go, wait a minute. Effectively, if you went through social media and you thought, could I be friends with that person? Could I be friends with that person? Would I be interested in? You all of a sudden you don't like most of them. It's like I couldn't get along with that person. I couldn't get along with that person. But hopefully they heal and hopefully society changes. So I know it's a bit of a deviation, but I think it's important to reflect upon that because some people are this like martyrs. They act like I care about everyone. It's like, no, I want everyone to heal. I don't like most people. And that's just honest because most people have betrayed me in my life. Most people have showed me they're toxic and I don't really want to be around that. So yeah, I'm very firm with my boundaries and I don't mind calling things out if I have to. But I do that really for personal growth and set a boundary. I don't do it to really hurt people. Sometimes in the past I would, but another version of me would. But if yeah, but yeah, I have no interest in that shit anymore. So, um, what I would say is because of that, I do want the world to heal, and I do recognise there's incredible people in this world, and I would want to support people who have kind souls. So I would be selective. I've said this so many times. I want to start a charity. If I had wealth, I'd start a charity, and I want to help people who I feel have either potential or that just life's got a little bit heavy for them. And I think just a little support, a little injection of money, or you send them in the right direction for the right, again, the right support. It could literally alter and change their life back onto where their soul is supposed to go. Because I think sometimes we get lost. Sometimes we take a detour. And there's a lot of growth to be had from it. And yeah, I wouldn't want to deny someone that. But I think when's the time to step in and help someone. And I think if I felt that urge, then I definitely would and I wouldn't hesitate. And I think that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't do anything because someone tells me to. I wouldn't do anything because someone says, prove this. Don't live my life like that at all. Genuine moments when I think, you know what, that person needs it, or I feel a calling to help that person. I wouldn't even hesitate a moment. Um, and I like to do kind acts like that. It doesn't always have to be like your name's attached to it. It doesn't even have to be huge things. I think sometimes little subtle things are great. I've said it before, like you might have a family member, like you might see a single parent taking their children for something for it's their birthday, but you can see they genuinely can't afford anything and they're struggling to look at the menu. I mean, in that instance, I would just talk to the owner or the whoever running the restaurant or wherever they've gone. I would just say, look, give them everything they have and put it on my bill. Of course, you have to be able to afford that, but that's what I would do for people randomly. Don't tell them I did it. See, your name won't always be attached. Now, of course, it's easy to make statements, and it's like easy if you say it beforehand. And maybe in the future, if you was ever in that position, it's easy to, in your mind, exactly all the things you did. And it might be people think you're arrogant and you're all this, that they don't even help people. But a lot of the things you do are going to be anonymous, aren't they? So how would you know? Because I don't personally see the world as mine. I think we all play a part, and I think it's just important. The way I see it is we should all leave this world in a better place than it was when we started it. We all have a duty to that, and the way society is, you only have to, and again, this is why I just think different. So people I think the majority of people, in all honesty, they hear me talk, I think there's genuineness in it, sincerity. Because I always think low of people, in all honesty, so I always think they're going to think the worst. But I think a lot of people would see beyond that. I'd like to think they would anyway. Because, like I say, I think if you look at the world and you go back through history, when was there? I mean, look, we can only go by what we're told with history. It's not like we're there, or even if we were there, we don't remember different lives. Whatever. I don't want to go down a spiritual path with that. But if you think about it, like I don't remember being taught periods of history that were kind, nurturing, and compassionate amongst humanity. It always seems to be survival of the fittest, dominance by kings, tyrants, and it hasn't really changed. It hasn't changed. It's like we still have this dominance, and it still takes people providing to charity to help the most in need, because the politicians, the governments around the world, for the most part, they don't do it. They're not there to support people for some reason. It's like the world is incredibly imbalanced. You get people with incredible wealth and opportunity and power, and you get people who are incredibly poor, and they lack options, and their life is very limited, and they suffer. And I just don't see the point of watching people suffer like that. It's like, why should people be this low? Why should anybody have the potential to be up here and someone is all the way down here and they can't even do anything about it? If you live in a society where you can evolve and grow beyond it, then it's like, take the opportunity to do it, because it's like you have that choice, you have that chance for freedom. Not everybody does, it means a lot to me, that sort of shit, I've never had the opportunity to deal with it. You know, my money's always been tight and terrible, and it's like, God damn, you know, you dream of it, don't you? A nice life for myself, of course, and then a section of your support, your money, whatever you've got. If you've got enough wealth, then you can start filtering it out and helping others. Um, 'Cause I don't think you need like large amounts, like vast amounts of wealth to the point of silly numbers. You know, I don't understand that. I think you have to have a foundation of stability. So I think there should always be like an emergency fund, a certain amount where you go, look, this is the threshold. We don't want to go below this, and I think that makes sense. So it's not about just like making your life a mess for others, because effectively we're all responsible for our own lives. So it has to, at a bare minimum, we're all responsible for our own lives, no matter the condition we're put in and the opportunities. We still have to make the best of the opportunity. So it's like I say a lot, we finish school at the same age, so it's up to us what we do with our life. We're responsible for it. Doesn't mean it's easy, and there's still moments that are hard, and life gets ahead of us, and things happen. Again, I'd love to help people, but at the basic level, I think we still have to be accountable for ourselves. Um, so yeah, there was just something else come up. Like I say, while we're on that topic though, that's what I want to do. I want to create. I've always said that I want to create a charity, and I don't want it just to be about money, because I think people can be leeches. People can abuse opportunity. You see it all the time. It's just ridiculous. It's so sad. You try and do something kind, and there's always an opportunist that just try and just take advantage. But I think sometimes it's not. It's like they say. It's like sometimes it's not about giving people like the food, the bread, if you like. It's about teaching them how to make it, because then it's sustainable. Like you could give someone a bit of money, and you could say, like, I hope you do the best, you know. But then it runs out, and they need it again. It's like you can't just keep giving that one person. There's too many people in the world. You know, you have to do the best with it. You have to invest it. You have to build with it. Um, and I think that's important. So, like, I would like to have, if I had, yeah, again, this is all if I had. Um, but I think it'd be nice to have like a facility or somewhere where, or like a phone in thing where people can go for advice. You know, so let's say you want to be an actor and you don't really know about it, but it's like your dream is to be an actor. It's like, well, okay, this, if you phone the people, or you set up a meeting, whatever, however it plays out, and they can put you in the right direction of pursuing that dream. You know, maybe they have contacts in the industry. Maybe they know sort of things you need to go to get it. It's just a career advice that maybe has opportunities attached to it. But of course, you have to be talented enough as well, though. You have to be realistic. So it's not like someone can open a door and then it's guaranteed. It's like someone can open a door for you, but you have to step through it, and you have to be realistic with yourself, whether you're ready and whether you're talented enough. And that's just being honest. But I'd love that people get opportunities, because even in my own life, I don't even know if I want my books published by big publishers anymore. Like, to be honest, I mean, the idea was a luxury before. You think, oh, that'd be cool, it'd be a milestone. Now, I say I couldn't care less. But it would have helped my book sales a lot faster if someone had helped me with the publishing side, because I don't like marketing and stuff. And then it could have gone. And again, I think maybe subconsciously that's what instigates the fact that I know people can do with help. So yeah, I'd love to do that for people. There was something else now that's come up, and it's just changed my little outlook a little bit, because I like to think of helping people on an individual basis, but it's like they don't expect it. I think there's something beautiful about that, where you just step into someone's life and you can change it in an instant. Again, it's not about injecting like shitloads of money, because it's being pragmatic. Because I thought about that. I thought, if you've got someone who doesn't have their own home or something, and you just buy them a home, that'd be so beautiful blessing, wouldn't it? But the real problem is you have to be realistic and think, like, if you think about that in general, let's say a home is like £300,000. Um, you've got one person, you go and buy a £300,000 home. They might not even be able to pay they might not even be able to pay the bills and all this stuff on top. But you've given them a house, and the house just doesn't, it deteriorates. They can't maintain it because there's other costs involved. So it's like you did something nice, but maybe it's not sustainable. Or instead of helping that one person with 300 grand, maybe you give 30 people £10,000. Now you go, right, okay, I can see you're struggling. Here's £10,000. You know, do good things with it. You know, obviously you can treat yourself with something nice, but then invest it. Find ways to multiply that money, okay, and then it'd be sustainable further in life. But if you waste it now, you're just going to be in the same situation in a period of time, and you're not going to have the same opportunity as you've got at this moment. And that's what I'd rather do to people: is say, look, here's a platform to build from. Rather than start from zero, you're starting from £10,000. And if you can't make that £10,000 work, then I don't know. There's nothing more I can do to help you, because you have to be accountable. If you don't think you're ready for that, then I won't do it today. You know, and I think things like that. Now, that's not easy. Even if you gave someone £10,000, if they haven't got their life together, it's not going to help. But I think also you have to think of their lifestyle. Do they do drugs? Do they have addictions and things? Because that's only going to go towards an addiction. It's not going to go towards improving their life. If anything, it's going to go towards their death. So there is something about being reserved with people as well. And the reason I'm saying that is like, if you was ever in a position, I think you would get judged maybe for not helping that person, for helping that person. But I just think there's certain nuances to an individual's case that you have to take into consideration. So it's not a case of just giving people money. I think sometimes it's just more about the support. And I think it's more about the direction and the opportunities. And that's where I would want to help people. So I say society for the most part is toxic because everybody is focused on themselves so heavily, they don't even care about anybody else. I'm focused on my path to fulfill all my goals, and I won't let anything stand in the way of that. But at the same time, I do want the whole point of all that in the first place is literally to give people the tools and the strength to sort of go follow their own path as well. And you'd like to think that people will help other people along the way if you're in a position where you can. In the same way I do. I mean, I do these videos for free, for free. Like everything I put in these videos, I could just do a mountain of books because the books can make me money. The videos don't make me anything. Maybe one day I can monetize the videos. That'd be great. That's a long way off, and it may never happen. But I sit here every day doing my videos. Like I said, I'm going to take time out to focus on the books more though, because I don't want to keep delaying and holding them back because I can't stop making content. But I just thought this one would be useful anyway. But yeah, anyway, so I put my money where my mouth is anyway. So I already do that, and I don't even have money. I'm trying to help people in ways I can. That with the limited resources I have, it doesn't cost me anything to talk. It doesn't cost me anything to share my thoughts and processes and the way I perceive life. And I think it can literally help people have a new perspective. I'm not saying people have to agree with me, but sometimes and I always say that, it'll either make people think differently or it'll reaffirm to them something they already think. So, like, you might not agree with me on something and it'll just make you stronger in your own perspective. And that's fine, isn't it? That's the whole point. But something happened today, actually. It was in the news. There's this piece of land. I don't know. I mean, you get it all the way. You get it, don't you? Where people were handed something in life. So let's say they had an estate and it had so many acres of land. Like this place had, I think, 3,000 acres. I don't even know how big an acre is, but I'm thinking it's quite big. So if someone's got 3,000, that's a whole freaking region, isn't it? Like, that's a lot of space, I would have thought. And they were moaning that people were camping on their property because they should be only walking on the when you get the through paths and stuff through these estates because it's public footway. But they should only be adhering to the footway. They shouldn't be camping on their land. And the Supreme Court has gone in favour of the people that camp, saying they have free passage, and it's like it's not defined, and we don't want to sort of define it whether that's okay or not. And I thought, at first you think if it's their land, but then you're thinking 3,000 acres. Like, how do you possibly need that much land? Like, who needs that much land? That's crazy. And you think, even if you've attained that, that's very disproportionate, I think, to fairness. Like, no one should have control of the earth over other people. But I can understand having a piece of property that's your space because we all deserve a bit of space to ourselves. So that got me thinking. I thought so long for the past few years, really, about helping people on an individual basis. If I could do something bigger, then something bigger. Elevating my life too, because I want to have a nice life. I want to have good experiences. God damn. I've been through enough struggle. I think I now deserve. I think that's been one of the lessons in my life is I deserve the good, like nice things, and it's like, and I really recognize I do deserve nice things, and it's like I want a good life. But I just thought because this come up, I thought that changes things. Because again, you've got to think about that. This is important. If you have a mindset where you want to help people, you have to be pragmatic. You can't just be stupid because your money can fly out your hand. Even if you had £1 million, you go, this is a budget for me to help people. That goes quick. If you decide to buy people houses, for instance, you was buy 300,000, you're only going to buy about 3 houses, three or four houses. That's not going to help many people. That's helping 3 or 4 people for £1 million. That's crazy. Give everybody 10 grand. I'm not going to do the maths on that. How many? Is it 100 people? I don't know. My mind's going crazy. I think it is 100. Yeah, 100, isn't it? 10 grand. Is it? $1 million is 10 grand, 100? I don't know. I don't want to look stupid. I probably already am. I've got it wrong, probably. I'm going to throw myself off with that now. But anyway, you can help 100 people, 10 grand each. That could be beneficial. But then I started thinking, wait a minute. there's so many things you can do with it. You could do you could help invest in a community center, which help the community. But then you think, what community? And this is the thing you can't win in life. Is you shouldn't do it because of the expectation of others. Because you do that, you'll never live up to it anyway. So, like for instance, you could pick a town. You could say, "This is the one I'm going to help there." All the other towns that think it's unfair, that one got the help, and they still won't appreciate it. You still get disrespected for it. So you can't do it because you're looking for respect. You can't do it because people expect. You have to do it for yourself. Like, what is it you want to do with your life? What impact do you want to have? And I just think it's ripple effect. If it's like I was thinking of something as well. It's like, let's say it was a humanitarian disaster and you was wealthy. And I go, this is all ifs because obviously, it'd be nice to support people who are in need. Like maybe they've lost their homes, maybe they've lost everything, and the government isn't really supporting enough. It'd be nice even in life you had connections and you tried to do like you get people to invest in supporting. So it's like they're doing it for charity. They do it for a cause. You've all got. But it'd be nice in life if you had those connections though, where you could call upon people and say, "Look, I'm trying to get some investment to get this over here, and I need them to help." And I'll put my money where my mouth is though. So like, I'm prepared to put this in. What are you prepared to put in? And then everybody sort of like comes together, and then you help. I think that'd be beautiful, wouldn't it? Because you can't expect people to help if you're not going to do anything. That's not going to work. But I think if you're prepared to put something in yourself, and it's like, and then they see the the number, now you can multiply it by getting other people on board, and I think that'd be great. These are things I would do if I was fortunate, of course. And people to see, I don't speak shit. And then if I was ever wealthy in the future, you'd see I'm doing things, or some things you wouldn't see because I don't see the point of sharing it. It's like I'd rather just. It's like a good Samaritan thing, I'd rather do good in my life and know I've done good. I don't need a pat on the back. I don't need someone to congratulate me. I don't care if someone has a bad opinion of me. I know the path I lead and I know the things I do. And so I don't really care. The other thing, because of that piece of land, I thought that's important. So again, this is where ifs and buts, coconuts, you have to have the money. It'd be nice to buy a piece of land. I think specifically England, because I'm British. But even if I moved abroad, you just don't know, do you? But it'd be nice to buy a piece of land and it always be free to the public. Because I'm noticing a lot, and you can't look, people need homes. So there's this, again, everything's balanced in life. It's never as straightforward as you think. But I think there has to be open space for people. I think your mental well-being, everything, is like getting back to nature. It's like it becomes concrete jungle otherwise. And I find that, personally, I find that quite frightening, how the world could just be full of concrete. And it's like we lose the natural, ecosystem, really. So, yeah, I'd buy a piece of land and proclaim that as forever free to the people. And you don't have to then argue, are you camping there? Are you doing that there? But it's got to be free. Yeah, but anyway, obviously, the only real problem with that is sometimes you do get people take advantage and they start putting motorhomes and all sorts of shit on it and they'd start staking it. And I think at that point, you'd have to sort of get law enforcement in and get them moved. Only because it's that in that situation, you want everyone to have freedom, but sometimes I think people can't regulate themselves. And I think in that sense, you've got a pocket full of people who, again, it's always people take advantage. So they take advantage of kindness and then try to stake a piece of land for themselves, even though that land was supposed to be free for everyone. Do you know what I mean? That's what I don't like. So you'd have to get them moved. So it's free for everyone still. So, yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't think everything through. I'm still, it's always like in infancy stages. But in the back of my mind, if I was ever doing well, one of the first things I'll be thinking of is how am I going to help people in the future? Because again, has to start with ourselves. So you have to build a stable platform to begin with. So you'd have to amass wealth before you can start redistributing it, because there's no way, like I'm not unrealistic. There's no way I'm going to put myself in a vulnerable state when I've been vulnerable my whole life financially. I want stability. It would have to reach a point where I say, right, I have enough money for what I have at home. I have enough money for the places I want to visit. I have enough money for the life I want. And now I have enough spare to be able to make a difference in this world. And I want to make a difference. So yeah, that's really what I want to do. And I think it's really interesting, really, to think what the impact we can have on the world. And again, it's easier said than done. But if you think about it, I know a lot of people are skeptical about things. But if you think in general, like what do you really want the money for? If you had loads and loads of money, I'm talking like vast money now. what I don't understand why people have to. 'Cause a lot of, for me personally, often it's a power trip. It's a power trip. Like, obviously, I'd love to leave. I want to leave enough money for my daughter and the next generations as well. If I was in that position, um, but again, it's all through education. You know, she's humble. She's very grounded, and I have no doubt that she wouldn't be silly if she had money. But I think what's important there is that if she has children herself, not to say she has to, you know, bloodlines can end, you know. But if she has children of her own, it's like I'd like to think that she would then educate them as well on humility, respecting people to a degree. Don't let them, again, all the values I instill. You know, don't let people walk all over you. So don't like, you have to have boundaries. You don't owe anyone anything, but it's nice to have a positive impact on the world. And it's kind of nice to be kind. You know, so there's times to value ourselves, and it's important that we don't let people take advantage of us and disrespect us. So you hold people accountable, but those vulnerable who truly need help, it's really important that you step up and try to help. But again, people still have to help themselves, and they have to elevate their life. You know, you can't just drag everyone out of everything. You can't be that savior because you're denying them growth. So there is something, although sad but beautiful, about a healing journey, and people have to go on that. But again, I wouldn't want generations in future to sort of like just be self-entitled, maybe about like these landowners who just think, you know, this is ours. And it's like, and they're so weird about it. It's like, that doesn't make sense to me. It's like, that's just self-entitlement. So I'd like to think that the generations that are born after, um, they all have a positive impact on the world, or at least the society that they're part of, you know? That's what I want. Because sometimes you see that where people who are wealthy, they don't even trust their kids. They just say, I'm not leaving anything to them because they have to find their own way. And I get that. I actually get that. It makes sense. They did it. You can do it. But I just think sometimes you can do it a different way. And I think if you can educate your children, um, there's no need for everybody to suffer continuously. I think sometimes you can help people from a better state of really societal position. So, you know, because you can literally do that. A bit like Braveheart, you know, you can be William Wallace and you're trying to instill belief in people, you know, you're trying to inspire them to go beyond maybe their capabilities or whatever. They're just trying to like protect the lands, but, you know, respect it. You know what I mean? It was incredibly motivational, especially in the film, in the film Braveheart. But that's someone that, like, obviously, I think he was like royalty anyway to an extent, wasn't he? I don't know if he was actually. I can't remember totally the film or his position. But you got to think, if you was instead of that, instead of having to be down there inspiring people from the bottom, trying to fight against establishments and stuff, wouldn't it be better? Like another angle there would be, wouldn't it be better if you was in the position where you had the position of the establishment, and you can make a difference from there to literally reach everybody, so they don't have to end up fighting? I don't know. I mean, again, it comes down to morals and humility, doesn't it? If someone can't control themselves, then they won't do good things anyway. Um, Inevitably, there'll be a greedy person somewhere in the lineage, and a lot of the time, in all honesty, it might be a partner. That's something to be wary of. Like, it could be a partner I have, it could be a partner my daughter has, it could be a partner in the next few generations of bloodlines. Because people sometimes see when they see money, it's like, what do they see with money? So, you know, of course, you know, if you're in a relationship, the other person has just a valid an input on like how that should get distributed, the life we should have, what they consider as fair. And I think these are important conversations to have, but I think realistically, don't be with someone who's a gold digger, because the problem is they won't want to share it. They'll be the same as the others, where they're just acquiring it like freaking robots, amassing and amassing and amassing. So like, I'd have to be with someone who understands that people do need support, and we can make a positive difference. And I think it's far more satisfying, I think, to have a positive impact on the world. I just think that it is like, surely you can go and buy yourself top of the range this, top of the range that, this new gadget, this new car, this new whatever the hell you got, all these clothes every day. You never wear the same clothes ever. You know, I don't wash my clothes. You know, I've got freaking brand new clothes over there. It just goes, I don't use a washing machine, I use a bin. I mean, what the hell sort of life is that? That's just stupid waste. And I bet there's some people like that. I bet there is. It's outrageous, isn't it? I got like 10 black shirts. I don't give a shit. I like them. So I mean, maybe like one day I'll start changing the colours a little bit. But I found a colour I get on with and I like it. So I just got like pick another one up. A bit like freaking Simon Cowell at this point. But I don't care about brand names and all that shit. As long as it fits nice, and it looks all right, that's enough for me. Now, doesn't mean I won't have nice things in the future, but again, balance, balance, balance. But yeah, like I say, I think sometimes it's going to come down to the people you associate with as well, because there'll be people that drain you, leech off you, or try to coerce you. So again, it's important for me that I'm around people who understand sort of what I want to do in the world, the life I want, and of course, it's important that I listen to them too. So it's just about working together. I want to be with someone who we work together as a team. I don't want to feel like I've got to do something. I don't do stuff underhanded. So I wouldn't do something behind someone's back. I would just say it directly, even if it causes an argument, if you like. It's like, but it's going to be frustrating for me personally, as if you was ever wealthy, you had an opportunity, and then you got your hands tied behind your back because the other person doesn't believe in it or doesn't agree with spending the money on this. So I say it's just frustrating, because how are we going to change the world if we all just keep holding on to everything and you're terrified of freaking going out your way to help someone? Again, I think it's important we have our own stability. So I'm not talking about like losing your stable foundation and we're all gonna struggle, because that doesn't help anybody. Back to square one. But I think there has to be a limit. And I think there's some beautiful things. I think that what it does, it opens up purpose. Like I said at the beginning there, you've got people who I think struggle in life because they have no direction. So they're wayward, they cause chaos, but they maybe even end life early, or whatever. Even if it's not through their own choice, their health just goes down, because their mental health affects their physical health. It's all these, everything's tied together. And some people can handle more stress than others, and so it compounds upon the ones that can't. It's going to compound upon their body more. And again, may even turn to addictions as well to make it even worse. So it just amplifies the problem. But I think if you've got good positive things in your life, which I think doing positive acts of service is a positive thing, it's going to help. See, you would assume it's going to make you feel healthier, isn't it? It's going to reinvigorate life. It's going to give you a pep in your step. You're going to think, I'm doing something here, and this actually makes a difference, and I can see it making a difference. I'm feeling proud about myself. I'm feeling happy about the contribution I'm making. I'm seeing people's lives improve, and I'm thinking, what a blessing. That's what I would be thinking. And of course, other people would be thinking, there'll be people, of course, thinking, oh, you're doing it for popularity. They're only doing it for attention. That's a weird way to invest in attention when you can do an awful lot of different things for attention. If you did something like that for attention, just buy someone a house, be done with it, wouldn't you? Wouldn't that be easier? If you was trying to buy attention, you could just buy someone a house and people go, oh my God, he can't be bought a house. That's just, that's attention, because you're just buying the one thing, like something so objectively obvious that you can literally just, you can establish that in your mind. That's a lot of money you spent that. That for me is that. There's things you do behind the scenes, I think time is more precious. So I think that by giving your time, you're giving an awful lot to someone, because every time you're doing one thing, you could be doing something else. Again, I don't want to keep pointing out my videos, but goddamn, if you just go through my whole YouTube channel, you'll see how many videos I've done within even in space of like 3 months. I've been on the go constantly for the year for a very long time, and that's because when I say a long time, I've been on TikTok for years. I come off briefly, but there's thousands of videos over there. It's a shit show, to be honest. It's so disorganized, that app. I don't even like using it much. I don't mind watching content. I don't like creating for it. But yeah, there's a lot more there than there is on YouTube. But it's so disorganized. There's different videos all over the place. I don't even like using it. But the point there is, I've been doing what I say for a very long time. And I could have just focused on myself, my growth, my books, really gatekeep, not care about anything. But I try to just keep expanding people's minds, really, get them think a bit different. And sometimes I think just be a bit of a source of light for people. Like, because I think in a very different way to the majority of people. I live my life in a very different way to the average person, I think. And I think there'll be people out there who have similar morals, but maybe no direction, or maybe they don't feel like noticed. I think maybe me talking helps people be noticed. But again, it's all hypotheticals when we talk about the future, of course. And if you were wealthy, it's easier said than done, and I get that. There'll always be temptations in the world. But I'm not someone who's interested in high society shit. It's just the way I am. I know what I'm like, and I know I wouldn't change for money. There'll be things that change, of course. Like the fact, there'd be firmer boundaries, of course, because people are going to take advantage. So you even have to be more protective than you are now. There'll be certain things like that would change, but overall, I wouldn't really change. I wouldn't change too much. No, I'm not into parties and all that shit. Now, if I was with a partner who does like parties, they do like social gatherings and things like that, I'd push myself outside my comfort zone to a point, because I'm capable. and I wouldn't want someone to be unhappy at my expense for sure. So I think there's give and take. Like they'd have to understand that I can't do for it all. Like I'm not going to. It's unlikely I'm going to do like hours and hours and hours, like go mental with it. So if you can understand, I'm pushing myself here to cut for you, but then understand that I need to re-energize. Do you know what I mean? Like it's about respecting each other. I think that's good. And I'm all about that. So sometimes it isn't just about us. Sometimes it's about like working together, coexisting, support. But overall, yeah, I'm not interested in all that shit. So if you was wealthy or you had popularity and fame, I'm not interested in hobnobbing, if you like, with powerful people or famous people. I don't really care. If you met someone famous, you meet someone famous. For me, they're just people. I just see everyone as people. I've never had an inferiority complex. Again, that's where the arrogance will come in. Um, and I would say perhaps there is a level of arrogance. I think we have to have that. I just put it down to confidence, in all honesty, because I've never I've never felt lower than anybody, not particularly above anyone either. I'm just me, and I just recognize people are people, and some people are just good at business. Some people have a natural aptitude, talent for something, maybe sets them apart. Um, we all have flaws, we all have strengths, and ultimately, we're just people. So I don't know why people put so many others on pedestals. I've just never understood it. I've just not got that. I've not got that in me to fall all over myself if I see someone famous. I've seen a few famous faces in my life. I've never approached them or bothered. I just because I don't care. It's like it's not in a rude way. It's like I understand they got their own life to live. They don't need people bothering them. And what am I going to say to them that's of any interest? It's not going to change it's not going to change either our lives. Me interacting with someone, whether they say hello or not, it's not going to change. Like, oh my god, it's like who cares? Like they're people going about doing everyday things, and I think that's the thing. There's this weird attachment people get to others with like fame and stuff. It's like I don't really understand that. Of course, if a famous person, like let's say you was in that position, and if a famous person's down to earth, they're nice, and they're relatable, then by all means, you could be friends with them in the same way you can be friends with anyone else. But maybe in their situation, maybe they understand the pressures more, and maybe there's a bit of So yeah, there may be in life if you was in that situation, you might have a couple of people who are high profile, but not because they're high profile. Just maybe you can relate to each other for something. You just naturally get along. There's nothing wrong with that either, though, is there? But I couldn't say I would be gravitating towards where I can see success with people because it's like, I don't see the point of that. I think it's more like, and I don't want to say this again. This is going to be arrogant. Let's just might as well. Only because like I said, just because I think that way doesn't mean other people don't. So it might be that maybe you become successful, and there's other people that are successful, but maybe they see the potential in you, or you're higher than it. I don't really know. Maybe they try and attract to you because they see opportunity, or they want to be associated with you. But maybe you don't want to be associated with them because you're just not looking. You're not because that's the thing. Like it's the same. I just think everything's the same no matter the status you are. So however life is for you now is going to be similar to that in a different scenario. So, for instance, I have strong boundaries now. I don't let like low vibrational people around me. I don't care if they've got more money than me. I just don't care. And I think if you look at it in that level, in society as a whole, like if you was to go further up with fame, recognition, power, prestige, whatever, a lot of that is dominated by money. So that's the same as this circumstance, is it not? If someone's got money, then they're considered to be doing better than you. So then they have a bigger reputation, one would assume. I don't think that's the case at all. But each to their own. I don't think anything's attached to money in that sense in terms of like, our worth. That's irrelevant. But anyway, I've already established that boundary with the majority of people in my life. It's like I've noticed most people are toxic, and I think it stands to reason that the majority of people who are famous, wealthy, celebrity, or wealthy, whatever, all that area, there's going to be an awful lot of people who are self-entitled, greedy. They've lost sight of reality, and they're not the sort of people I'd want to be friends with. So, in that sense, just because they have positions of like potential opportunities, and they have prestige and status, that's not going to impress me in the slightest. It's like, it does. I just don't care. It's like I genuinely couldn't care less. Unless you're a nice person, I just don't really care. So that's the point. Really, is there? Like you're going to get that in any walk of life. You start doing well. People maybe they start inviting you to places. But if they're not your sort of people and they don't match your vibe, like no, thank you for the offer, but no, thank you. But then they might think you're being awkward, you're being, you know, it's like, okay, I'm awkward. Okay. You got on all right without me before, didn't you? Just get on. But some people don't like rejection, of course, especially people with power. So there's dynamics. I know we're going off topic here, but I think it's just really important. We're like pragmatic about every aspect. So I'm not seeking validation or attention or anything like that. I just do what I can to try and help people. And I do it while I don't have the resources. And I can't help but think of the impact I can have when I have resources. That's all it is. And of course, I'd like to have a nice life too. And I deserve a nice life. So um, I think that's another thing, isn't it? If you're prepared to invest in other people, we should be prepared to invest in ourselves for sure. Doesn't make sense not to, does it? um, so yeah, I have an image of the life I'll have, but I'd also like to think there's going to be an opportunity at some point. I'd love to think that where I can make a difference in other people's lives too, those that I feel are deserving already. Because I think that's important. Someone can be deserving, they're not quite ready, they're on a healing journey. Sometimes you have to let them go through that healing process because you recognize the growth they'll have, how strong and resilient they'll be at the end of it. So it's not nice to see people suffering, but when you recognize growth, I think you're doing them a favor. So yeah, people won't understand that a lot. I think those that I think those that have just been handed something or they haven't pushed themselves outside their comfort zone, I don't think they would understand the growth needed in a journey, like really how important it is. Because it's like you can give someone wealth beyond wildest dreams at a certain age or a certain stage of their life, and they'll just go mental with it. They've got no control. You give it to someone who's been through some things. They've learnt their lessons. They're getting their life together. They're changing their mindset. They're adapting. You give it to them, now they've learnt from the past. They're not going to do that. They'll actually elevate their life, and they may even help other people too. And I think that is a better place to be, isn't it? Because now they're ready. And I think that's going to be just as important in life. Um, Again, this is all like ifs and buts, coconuts. But yeah, it's something to think about. I think and again, I think it shows people's character. But it's easy for someone to say, of course, they do that. It's another thing doing it, isn't it? So, like I say, I always say the proof is in the pudding. But I think it's worth just looking at society as a whole. And I just can't help but think if we don't make a difference now, like in this lifetime, it doesn't have to be today, but if we don't make a difference in this lifetime, nothing changes and the next generation suffer. And I know some people are just self-entitled. They don't care about anyone else. They just say, well, we've all only got one life to live and I'm living mine. And I get it. It's like, how satisfying is that really though? Because you have to keep trying and trying and trying just to have something, just to fill a void. You're not realizing you're filling the wrong cup. You're filling a cup with a hole at the bottom and it just keeps emptying and you've got to keep putting into it. So you're just constantly greedy your whole life. If you have a different perspective on life and you start looking in a different way, you don't go mad chasing money. You try to live a fulfilling life where you're happy and you find a balance and there's a chance where you can support and help people along the way. I think you'll find that cup stays full quite more often. And you haven't got to sell yourself to keep filling it, you know. But anyway, that's what I'm up to. And I'd like to think at some point I'll be able to have a bigger contribution to the world. And you just never know how much it could impact others to the point where that impact filters down. You know, because you can't do it all on your own. You can obviously see things in a certain way, and you can do your best to instigate change, but it's going to take other people to change too, and it has to filter out like a tree, like a family tree sort of thing. It has to start, it has to, and you can really have a positive change in the world. But maybe it's slow, but it'd be better if future generations don't suffer in the same way all generations up to now have. You know, there's so much war, so much poverty, famine. You know, rights getting taken away from people, so people lose their liberty and freedom. I know it's like big things to state, but it's like that's life. That's how life has been. And in a lot of parts of the world, that's how life is still. And I think some of us can probably tick a few of those boxes off, you know? Yeah, I've suffered with that. I've suffered with that. How is that a balanced, fair world? I've said in another video that, because I thought about it myself when I go deep enough, I think, how could we truly change the world? If you could do one thing, if you could fix one thing, because that's a big thing to think about, like fix one thing. If you could fix one thing, what would it be? And it would change the world in a positive way. I think, and I said it before, I think if you invest in Africa, bring Africa up to the similar economy as the rest of the world, we'd start seeing an incredible balance around the world. It'll be safer to travel through Africa for starters. Africa wouldn't be dependent on the rest of the world. You wouldn't see Africans sort of like trying to influx into every other nation, which does cause instability in the welfare systems and stuff. But I can understand why they do it. So it's like, and I think cultural diversity is good. In the same way, people travel from one country to another. You see many different like nationals in different countries living, and I think that coexisting is great for like diversity in culture. So there's no reason why, even if Africa was flourishing, that Africans couldn't live in other countries. It'd be nice if it was flourishing enough that others could come into Africa. Um, and yeah, I just think it would be great. I actually think it would be great. And I know some people just look at people like animals, don't they? And I never understood that. We're all human beings. We all have a human experience. It's just some of us are born into opportunity more than others. And I understand, the freedoms I have that are more than others. And I recognize maybe some people have more freedom than I do. It's like there's swings and roundabouts, but I think you shouldn't look back and shouldn't look down at people. And I don't see anything as competition or a threat. So I'm just doing my own thing. So I think a lot of people, they like to have positions of power, like I said before. So they like to act elitist, and they would never like to see a region or people doing better than them. So they would see that as a threat. And I just don't understand that. What's so scary about other people being successful? And often I think the underdog deserves to win. And I think people that have struggled long enough deserve to have something nice in this life. And I think if you look at the African region, for instance, the entire continent for the most part. Now, I don't know each country individually. I don't know the politics. I know there's a lot of genocide. I know there's a lot of terrorism. There's an awful lot of things going on. So it makes it a dangerous region, And I just think if that could be healed, I think we'd get an awful lot of stability around the world. And that's what I would fix if I could. But it's such a big task. I don't know how you would, personally. I think maybe raise awareness, but it's unfortunately the people that hold power and governance around the world, all the politicians, they just look to leech off of Africa. I think they give them unfair terms. I'm not sure about it all. I'm sure they've got unfair terms on trading agreements. They take their minerals, they take their anything they can gain, and they leave them subservient to their rule. So effectively, Africans, I'm only assuming, it's the only way it makes sense. I'm just assuming Africans are in debt to the richer nations. So they've got poor trade agreements where they sell their minerals to those nations. So they're trying to repay it back somehow, but they're taken advantage of. That's how empires work. Yeah, I don't know how you change that. But I'd like to think someday it could change. But anyway, we can all make an impact, I think. Maybe a little impact, but a little impact's better than a no impact, isn't it? But anyway, that's what I would change. I'm curious what other people would change.